Good morning and welcome to the WEX Wakeup Year in Review. I'm Christy Matino. Here's a look back at some of the stories that shaped 2023. Back in July, I had an exclusive sit-down interview with Florida Congressman Byron Donalds. We covered a range of topics that day, from when cocaine was found in the White House to defunding the FBI, and news that broke just before the interview that President Joe Biden would eliminate student debt for over 800,000 borrowers.
We're just going to jump right in here to the investigation into cocaine found in the White House. You were just at a briefing with the Secret Service. They said this investigation is closed because they can't narrow it down. They said there's no surveillance footage. That didn't go over well with some of your Republican colleagues, particularly Speaker Kevin McCarthy. He came out last night saying the Bidens received preferential treatment. So my question to you, Congressman, two questions actually here. Do you agree with that statement, that the Bidens are receiving preferential treatment? And do you think that this could have been a result of Hunter Biden?
Do I think the Bidens get preferential treatment? 100%. Of course they do. And this is a piece of it, but it's emblematic of the overall situation at this point. Look, I think with respect to the bag of cocaine found, can we find another presidential administration where this has occurred? And then the other piece of this is, and let's call it what it is, if this was the Trump administration, if this was the Bush administration, it would be wall-to-wall coverage in the press, not oh, there's nothing to see here, let's move on. And there will be public pressure from media for Secret Service and FBI to continue these investigations ad nauseum. What we're already seeing is everybody's like, nothing to see here, let's move on, next story. So that's part of the preferential treatment. The larger issue is what we're doing in oversight and in judiciary and in Ways and Means Committee, where we are basically have found the information that it's not just about cocaine. They've had preferential treatment on their activities for at least a decade now. And it really is problematic for our country because Joe Biden is president. And because of his ability and his power from his position, is he compromised because of the business dealing of his family? It's a serious question. I believe he is compromised. I think the decision making is compromised because of the pay for play influence peddling scheme that they've been engaged in for many years.
Moving on to the FBI Director Christopher Wray, he testified in front of the House Judiciary Committee on Wednesday. With all the controversy going on with the FBI recently, would you be in favor of defunding a portion of the agency?
Yeah, I would. And actually, I think what we really have to start looking at is the political layer of the FBI, of the Department of Justice, and also at the IRS. One thing that's becoming very clear is that they pick and choose how hard they want to investigate and when they choose to just let things go. And it's falling on political lines, and that's not good for our country.
This news broke just a few hours ago that Biden administration is going to be canceling out $39 billion. That's going to benefit over 800,000 borrowers. Now, the Supreme Court had just said, you can't do this. How is this going to impact the economy, and what are your thoughts?
Well, a couple things. One, it impacts the economy because when you just start just forgiving debt, it's a backdoor stimulus. Number two, what it does is it hurts the ability for new loans to be issued in the future. Because if it's now being understood that you don't have to repay debt, then why would people take any care with what they borrow? What happens if the stuff doesn't get forgiven, quote unquote? What does it do to those borrowers in the future? This creates a serious moral hazard in our economy and in the lending community because you can't have a process where the executive, because of politics, decides, well, I'm just going to do this with a pen and a phone, to quote former President Obama. So I think it's a serious problem now, specifically to what they're doing. I believe, once again, it's unconstitutional. And what Joe Biden is doing, he's playing catch me if you can with our political system and with the courts. And it's outrageous. And I think it's important for voters, no matter what your politics are, to understand that the Constitution never authorized the president to act in this way and in this manner. And for all of the accusations of former presidents and what they did or didn't do, what Joe Biden is doing is dictatorial. And it is unconstitutional. It should not be tolerated.
Thanks for joining us this morning for a special edition of the WEX Wake Up. Be sure to give us a follow online and on social media. And from all of us here at the Washington Examiner, happy holidays.